The Senate, as part of the legislative branch, must provide advice and consent on presidential nominees. It's a responsibility that goes back to our nation's founding. As James Madison warned in the Federalist Papers, quote, "The accumulation of all power, legislative, executive, and judiciary in the same hands may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny." To ensure the president could not become a despot like King George III, our founders designed a system of checks and balances separating the federal government's powers among its three branches. The Senate's role in providing advice and consent on presidential nominees is one critical check on the executive branch. Today's hearing is a step in that process. And it has never been more important that the Senate exercise this role because the president continues to challenge what I have just said, and he's determined to push the bounds of his power at every opportunity. He's not the first. Across the country, immigration agents are racially profiling and arresting American citizens, even veterans. At a Spotlight Forum last week, I spoke about one Chicagoan, a U.S. citizen, on her way to work, who was physically assaulted, arrested, and detained for several hours after ICE agents crashed into her car and pointed their weapons at her, all captured on videotape. Her supposed crime? Well, she looked Hispanic. This is the kind of thing we expect from totalitarian regimes that have rightly been relegated to the trash heap of history. It is not conduct we can or should tolerate in the United States. But the Trump administration's unlawful and sometimes un-American actions are not limited to our shores or our fellow citizens. The president has ordered extrajudicial killings of at least 95 people off the coast of Venezuela. And yesterday, our self-styled Secretary of War told most of us senators to go to hell when we asked to see the videos of the episode where two stranded victims may have been executed in violation of international legal standards. The Trump administration alleges that these individuals are narco-terrorists. Drug trafficking is a serious crime and should be prosecuted, but that is not what's happening here. Instead, President Trump is engaging in the summary execution of criminal suspects. That is a violation of law in peacetime and wartime. When the president exceeds the limits of his constitutional authority, the other branches of government have an obligation to push back. Today's hearing is part of our effort to fulfill our obligation, but we must also conduct oversight and hold accountable a president who too often ignores the limits of power. When I chaired this committee for 4 years during President Biden's administration, we brought before this committee each year the heads of the three major agencies that we have oversight responsibility for: Department of Justice, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security. We are now about to finish off this calendar year with the Department of Homeland Security spurning every effort we've made to hold her accountable for what's happening. In closing, I want to note that multiple nominees on today's panel are here because of the the committee's longstanding bipartisan tradition of requiring what we call blue slips from senators supporting district court nominees from their states. When I served as chair of this committee, I honored this practice, despite pressure from many Democrats to do away with blue slips when we were in the majority. As a result, many Senate Republicans were able to negotiate with the Biden White House on nominees to fill vacancies. Other Republican senators used blue slips to hold seats open in their states. I didn't like it, but both parties have used that strategy, and I respected it. Just this week, the president falsely claimed, and I quote him, "If you have one Democrat in a state, it is not possible to appoint because of blue slips." End of quote. Simply untrue. In fact, this year, committee has reported and the Senate has confirmed numerous judicial and U.S. attorney nominees from blue states with the support of Democratic senators. It simply requires the president to do what every other president has done before him: work with home state senators to identify well-qualified nominees. Blue slips remain a critical part of this body's advice and consent, even when they frustrate the party in power. I want to thank Chairman Grassley for continuing to follow this practice.